Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to try something totally different from the Russian rangefinders that I've been doing for a while, meaning I'm going to try to repair this. It's a Yashica FR-1, sort of a cheaper clone, or better said, the cheaper cousin of the Contex RTS. And I've got one Yashica FR-1 that is in a complete condition, let's say that, meaning it has every dial and button and lever. I also have one that is missing bits and bobs from this area, and I also have one that is missing even more bits and bobs. So the ASA dial, the winding lever, this one is kind of loose, self-timer lever, mirror, it's missing the mirror. We'll see what's inside. What I know about them as of right now. This one, I thought it was in working order. Well, it's not. It's locked. I can't arm it from here either. So either from here nor from here. This is the motor drive, and it has a broken self-timer lever. The leatherette, I peeled it off to have access to the screws, and the paint is peeling here. This one, although it's missing these parts, I can actually wind the camera. And if I put a battery inside, it is actually working. Well, it was locked, but I somehow managed to unlock it or get it unstuck. And now if I take a needle and I poke it inside this shaft, it should release. And now it's set to something like half a second or something. So this one is working. But this threaded part of the shaft where the winding lever is screwed on, it's not screwed on, it's put on, and it has a retainer, is broken. So somehow this bit got broken. Probably somebody tried to over tighten that locking nut. On this one, another piece of shaft is broken. So on the ASA assembly or the board assembly on this part, there is a plastic shaft that is threaded, and on that plastic shaft there are two retainers that must be screwed on. So this one being plastic, I don't know why it's plastic, I don't know why they made it from plastics. Any kind of over torque means it can snap, so I will have to take this part from this one and put it on this one. Also this one I have already taken off the front plate, so I kind of know what's what's beneath. This one has a toothed gear that is connected to the first curtain that has a couple of teeth missing. So since it's locked, probably somebody forced it and those teeth went bye-bye. Okay, and this one I can wind it from here, but it makes a very nasty sound. And it goes on and on and on, so probably there are more pieces missing inside. At least I get to steal a lot of components from this camera. Focusing screen, probably prism. I can't really assess the condition of the prism and focusing screen because I don't have the mirror. This dial, and we'll see what else. Oh, also the top plate. The top plate is in a much better condition than these two. This one is dented and the paint is peeling. This one is peeling, so yeah, I will have to use 3 cameras to make one working camera. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so these are the cameras. I also have the user's manual, and the user manual is made of the assembling chart, and this will come in handy in case I get a bit lost and lose track of the stacking order of certain parts, especially washers like this one. And it's very complete, I suppose. Hopefully everything is covered in the exploded diagrams. And then there is the repair manual part, but repair manuals are not for the mere mortals. These were made for technicians, because there is nothing about disassembly, nothing about assembly. It's all troubleshooting. So voltage measurements, defects in reference voltage, like no shutter opening, conditions, check whatever, defective transistor, defective capacitor, defective resistor, and so on. So it's pretty much a troubleshooting manual. So you have an issue, you look it up and see what to check and where to measure and what to measure and what are the correct measurements and so on. And this is pretty much all there is to this manual. Alright, and I also have an article from a magazine from the 80s, I suppose. I don't know if it has any date on it. That covers... I don't really know what it covers, to be honest, because I didn't read it yet. I will, because I did see that it has some disassembly highlights, reassembly highlights, so things to be wary about. Troubleshooting, adjustment sequence for exposure, adjustments not normally required, and I don't know, other stuff that might come in handy. So this is all I have. All I have at hand before attempting to get one working camera out of the 3 dead bodies. My plan is to strip this one down. It's for me in this point in my adventure repairing cameras, it's pretty difficult to make sense or make complete sense of a mechanism if it's not working. I have to see it in working order. I have to see how each part interacts with the other and so on. That's why I prefer mechanical cameras, where I don't have to take into the account all the electronics and so on. But it will be a good exercise in the sense that at least if I get something really wrong, I will not lose much. What I do know is that this one lifts. It has one screw. This color, I don't remember if it lifts or not, but it doesn't matter. This whole selector comes off. On top of that screw, initially there was this little round patch of leatherette glued on top. Okay, then this is the selector, the shutter speed selector. Okay, this is the retaining ring below all the winding lever stack. And then there was a screw here that is missing, a couple of screws here that are missing, so this one lifts, and theoretically there was one wire coming from the top plate to the circuit board that is certainly disconnected. Yeah, it was coming from here, but I don't remember which wire it was. Maybe this one. Yeah, maybe, I think it's this one. It doesn't matter anyway. Okay, then we have 3 screws on the bottom plate. This one is missing 2 of them. So this is the bottom plate, off it goes. And then we have 4 screws for the front plate and 4 screws for the mount. I'll take out the mount first. This one barely turns, so that's a bad sign. And it has 2 or 3 threads that are damaged. So I don't know why that happened. Oh, because one is longer than the other, I think, or at least that's how it looks like. Okay, so the lens mount simply comes off. This is glue, not anything else. Okay, and then we have these 4 that keep the top plate, the front plate in place. Now the front plate, but I will probably talk about this another time, has okay, so this wire, it has 1 wire that goes to the flash sink and 3 wires that go on top. And it also has a mechanism that transforms the position of this ring. So this is the ring that's actuated by the aperture on the lens. So you set the aperture to whatever, f8, and when you do that, this ring will move like this. It will be moved by the actual lever on the lens. When that happens, this ring that has some brushes beneath it, so some dragging contacts, I don't know, sliding contacts, I don't know how they are called, they will move across this golden ring that's beneath this one, and that will tell the circuitry, the electronics part, what the aperture is, so it will adjust its exposure. That's why it has these three contacts, these three wires that leave from this ring. And the system has this pulley and string that's connected to a spring. So the string by the pulley pulls on the spring. The spring is only there to return this ring to its original position. Now when this gets back, so when you want to put this one back to the body, this little axle of the pulley, so it's like a pin that keeps the pulley on its bracket, and it's a bit longer than the bracket itself. These two ends of the pin have to slide in these two grooves. So if this is the pin, it will go like this. And when that happens, pulling the pulley, let me rephrase that. Moving the aperture ring will turn this ring that will pull the pulley that will move this piece. And this is what moves the little indicator of the aperture inside the viewfinder. So as you turn the aperture ring on the lens, you will see the actual aperture that you set on the lens, you will see it on the viewfinder. It's interesting. Usually they have the so-called Judas window. So Judas window, if I remember correctly, that's how it's called, is a little window somewhere around here, so on the top plate, that allows you to actually see. So it's a little window, but there are some mirrors, prisms, something involved that actually pass the light from, let's say this is the lens. So from the lens, from the ring, the aperture ring, you can actually see the physical marking on the lens. So let's say the f8 marking, you can see it inside the viewfinder, inside the prism. That's a more rudimentary way to do it. This is more evolved, I suppose, because it translates a setting on the lens inside the viewfinder by indirect means, let's say. Okay, so we have yellow, purple and green. That's the order when this is upside down. Yellow, purple and green. And I have already noted some of the wirings. And aperture ring with front plate upside down, yellow, violet, green. Yellow near pulley and spring. So yellow near pulley and spring, violet and green, or violet or purple. Okay, I will. This is from the self timer. It is missing 2 screws, that's why it came out, or better said, came off. I will just take this apart and then I will slowly end this video. Okay, so this is the system. And this is the end of the string. Of course, the string, the length of the string, the gluing point of the string, and the attachment point to the disk of the string is extremely important, because if you move it in any way, differently, it will move the position of this pulley left or right, so it will no longer indicate correctly in the viewfinder. So as far as I can tell from looking at these cameras, the string was glued in two places and kept in position by this little bracket thing. So I wouldn't mess with this unless I would really have to. Or maybe, I don't know, a broken cord or something. Okay, this one goes to the parts bin. Okay, and the back door is simply removed like that. This one is from here. It's like this, something like this. Okay, and there's also a washer that is supposed to be a light baffle here on the motor drive actuator or linkage. This one is totally messed up and somehow caught between this part and the frame. Okay, and this is the gear that's missing teeth on the other camera. Now let's see what happens if I... Oh, okay. This one should have moved. But it is not moving because it is not... It's not engaging. So there is one little toothed cog here that was supposed to engage this one, and it's not engaging. I wonder why. It's like the position is off by just a bit. Okay. Well, it doesn't really matter. I will end this video here because my next move, let's say move, is to take this one apart slowly and try to figure out each part, how it's connected to other parts, how it works, how can I take it apart without breaking anything. Yeah, and probably the first thing to take apart will be the electronic part. So all the flexi boards, all the wiring. We'll see how that goes. Okay, thank you. I'll be back soon, hopefully.